Welcome back to the Real Talk Podcast, episode 172. I'm your host, Nathan, and I'm joined by the man himself, Matthew Neves, to my left.
Thank you.
Today, we are going to be reviewing The Brutalist. The Brutalist, big talked about movie
Yep.
since, it's premiered at all these festivals. And
Tons.
some of the headlines we're hearing out of it, the best movie ever made, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, the hype was there.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to avoid it as much as I could. We reacted to the trailer. I thought the
Yes.
trailer was beautiful, but didn't give much away at all.
No, yeah.
Just kind of showed, the essence of it in the cinematography, which you already knew going into it that you were going to see a beautifully made film.
Yeah.
But this film gave me a lot to talk about.
Same.
So
I mean, 3.5 hour long epic. We're gonna be putting our 2 cents in, you know.
absolutely. Before we get into the film, let's talk about our theater experience and how we had to go watch this film.
Oh fucking hell yeah.
So we're in Toronto, if you guys don't know, and you can't fucking watch this film anywhere.
Nope.
It's showing at our TIFF Theater Lightbox, and
Yep.
it's showing at one downtown Cineplex, which is the big chain here.
Yeah.
And we had to mission down there. It's like 3 showtimes a day. That's all you get.
That's it.
For this beautiful film. And we went down there, we saw it, and we both saw it on the same day, right? We both saw it.
Yeah, I think so.
on Friday.
I saw an earlier showtime
Yeah.
because I had shit to do the next day. You took the later one.
I took the later one.
Yeah.
And both of our theaters were full.
Yeah. They were packed. Like, I was just like, okay, if it's this full, why aren't there more showtimes? Why aren't there more theaters?
That's what I was thinking.
It has to do with probably the studio. It has to.
It has to.
Because
yeah.
Cineplex, I cannot imagine Cineplex not being like, oh yeah, you can't have one here, you can't have one there. Like, it's money. They
Yeah,
like money.
I agree. Like, the tickets would sell,
Yeah.
and I don't think there's like a crazy amount of movies that like there's no screens for this movie. Like, there is.
If you want to know even more about it, because Box Office Mojo shows how many theaters there are. I'm looking at it right now. Currently, there's 8 theaters that they're recording, and on average, these theaters are making $9,000, $10,000. The highest at its peak was $18,000 a theater. A theater.
Wow.
That's better averages than like Mufasa and shit like that.
Right.
Because you look at the averaging out, Mufasa has like 3,000 theaters.
Right.
So calculating it, I'm just like, dude, this would make money. This would make more money if
Yeah.
it was in more than 8 fucking theaters in North America.
Yeah, like I don't know what the backstory is, and I hope in some capacity this film gets a little bit of a wider release at some point. Like, I don't know if it is. It's probably over, but
UK, it's going to be releasing later this month. But aside from that,
this is it, eh?
this is fucking it. Wow, cool.
And like, where's this gonna live after? Because this is such a movie to see on the big screen. Like,
Streaming's going to like, it's not going to be the same.
no.
It really isn't. So if you ever get the chance, try to find it at your local theater, or at least a
Yeah.
theater that's close by that's showing it, because it's a good ass film.
Yeah.
It's a good ass film. I think we both agree on that merit. It's a good ass film that we're gonna go right into.
Yeah, let's get right into it. This film, the Brutalist, essentially is about our protagonist Laszlo, which I think is a fantastic name,
Right?
and his wife,
Yep.
Erzsébet,
Mm-hmm.
who are separated from so they're from Austria-Hungary, right?
yes.
Yeah.
And they
And
get separated. Laszlo comes to America on
Yeah.
his own, and the reason why his wife is unable to is she has to take care of their niece,
Yeah.
because her mother and father, I believe, both passed
away.
away.
Yeah.
So it's very tragic in terms of like he can't, see her face to face. So what he does is he works as an architect. He builds a lot. He works hard.
That's what he did back home,
Yes.
but when he gets to America, his talent's not necessarily recognized.
Right.
And it's a classic, beautiful immigrant story, a story that I absolutely love and can watch 100 times. A story about an immigrant rising in America, the great American movie.
Truly felt like that, to be honest with you. Not, and I'm not just saying that because of the runtime. I'm saying that because it's during this very tragic time, obviously post
Yeah.
World War II, coming to America, trying to have a better life.
This is a beautiful American epic.
Yeah.
I'm always a sucker for that. Trying to have a better life story.
Yeah.
The way they set up Laszlo as this, conflicting character, this character with, like he's not a perfect guy.
No.
But you're rooting for him. You're very much rooting for him. And the first half of this movie, I have zero flaws, and I was incredibly moved by, in a way that, like, seriously, I'm thinking about this movie so much. Like,
it goes by quick, the first half.
The first half, up until the intermission,
Yeah.
Neves, when I tell you that, like, at that intermission, I was almost, like, in tears of how moved I was by this film.
Yeah.
It hit me in a way that no film has hit me this year or even in the last few years. Seriously.
Yeah.
And we'll talk later about
The second
the
half
ending,
and
the
the
second
epilogue.
half, and some of the problems we have with it.
Yes.
But when this film is firing,
Yeah.
it's one of the best films I've ever seen. Seriously, though.
It's really good.
Seriously, though, I genuinely do feel that way, and I want to get your thoughts.
I completely agree. I think the reason why I love the first half a lot is because, as we've stated before, or as people have said before in the past, this movie cost about $10 million, roughly $10 million.
This movie cost.
Let's get into that. $10 million. This is a 3.5 hour long epic. This was shot on film. This division, which we were talking about a little bit before,
which is a dead format
Yeah.
that has been revived for this film,
Yeah.
essentially, and worked so well. I think contributes massively to how beautiful this film looks.
Exactly.
In those low light situations, it's incredible.
Incredible, beautiful. Taking all that into consideration, on top of actors who have been in the industry for decades now, I'm talking Adrian Brody, Guy Pearce type of thing. Like these are guys that have been in the industry since like the 90s, and they've worked hard. They're established actors. They could say like, oh, here's my rate and stuff, but they chose to be in a specific film like this, as well as Felicity Jones. Sorry, not to mention her. She's been in a ton of films as well,
100%.
big budget films.
Yeah.
All that in consideration, under 10 million. The locations that they shot at. Beautiful, gorgeous. And what I found out recently was the director, Brady Corbett, was like, oh, the reason I could make it for this budget was, I just didn't shoot in America. I just went outside, and it's a lot better because it looks way better.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I fully agree after seeing this film. The locations.
It looked so good. How great of a job did he do of capturing the period
Holy shit,
in
man.
this beautiful, like, timeless way? Even when they go to Italy, it's like, holy shit, how beautiful do those scenes look? Dude. If this film costs $10 million, no film should ever cost $200 million.
I agree.
That it just doesn't make sense. It shouldn't be allowed. The studios need to open their eyes and realize that if you can make a film this beautiful, a period piece, a 3.5 hour long film, with established actors, and you can make it $10 million, why does a film have to cost $200 million?
That's the sad reality. I feel like it might go into ego territory from cast members, from director.
It does,
from,
man.
Yeah, man.
It does.
So I'm glad that everyone was on the same page with this film, because what we got was something gorgeous, something beautiful. Like I said before, the first half, I think my favorite part of the first half is its simplistic way of shooting.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to go super complex. You don't need these fucking crazy camera moves and stuff.
No.
It's like, no. We have dolly. We can
It's
move.
traditional, but
Yeah.
beautiful. It's not lazy. They're very mindful of the framing of a lot of these shots, I think about.
They don't cut a lot either.
No.
They don't cut back to characters. It's usually like I remember the first scene where he meets with the other guy and his wife selling furniture.
Oh, his cousin. When he
cousin.
gets to America.
Exactly.
Beautiful scene.
Just
too.
a beautiful dolly shot of them walking in. It's like, oh, this is my wife. How's it going? Boom, boom, boom. And the shot, you don't notice how long the shot is because you're engaged of what the fuck they're saying, and you're just like, what's going to happen? Is he gonna keep going with this guy?
Yeah.
Is he gonna? And that's the beauty of him making his first the library, his renovation. That's the first thing he does in America. And the music that happens. Oh my god.
Bro, I literally have goosebumps. I
Yeah, man, because
love
it's great.
that sequence so much. The score from the beginning.
Yes.
I think this score is going to age incredibly well. I think this score needs to be talked about with some of the all-time great scores.
Yeah.
It is beautiful.
And
Who did the score for this?
we got to find
I
out.
need to find out because like this is the
Music
kind
by
of movie-
Daniel Blumberg. Shout out Daniel Blumberg.
There you go. I'm not sure what else he's done, but he has a bright future after doing this film because he captured, I think, the feelings, the essence, the time so incredibly well. I can't wait to see this film again. I can't wait to hear that score again.
Yeah.
It added to the emotions that I was already feeling with the great writing and performances.
Yeah, I fully agree. The music is not this typical type of music that we've heard before as well.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing about composing is the fact that you could try new shit
There's
out.
not one way to do it.
Yeah.
There's not like, okay, it's this period, so we have to do it like this. It's this kind of film, we have to do it this way.
Exactly. Like that opening shot when he comes to America and the music hits. To me, when I first heard it, I was like, oh, that's a bit jarring. And then when it goes to like New York, Statue of Liberty upside down and the music keeps going, but it raises up, the bass hits and stuff. And you're just like, wait a minute, I kind of fuck with this now.
It's so good.
Because I'll be honest, the opening is a bit jarring. You
Yeah.
don't know how, like, it just really grabs you and
Yeah.
grabs you and puts you in the movie.
And when he gets to America, it's not really the hopeful,
No.
we made it score that you could kind of expect from an
Yeah.
immigrant story, right? It's not at all. It's a little off-putting, like you're saying,
Yeah.
and that's on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And the Statue of Liberty is upside down on purpose.
Yeah.
Because, hey, maybe America is not this land of opportunity or dreams that you think it is.
That's where, like, the darkness is foreshadowing.
Yeah, exactly.
Of, like, what characters is Laszlo going to meet? Which ones are going to tarnish his soul, his heart? Because you know that there's something there where he does have this hope of making beautiful art and saying something. We as filmmakers can relate to that, It doesn't matter what stage you are as an artist. You feel that whether conscious or unconsciously. That's why I love the concept of like architects. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful profession that Laszlo is going into, and it's shot in a way that you can feel his passion.
Yeah,
when he's
I
making
completely
this.
agree. I love what this movie is trying to say about art.
Mm-hmm.
The themes of like, an artist's struggle and legacy.
Yeah.
And life imitating art.
Yeah.
There's some beautiful messages of that in here. Identity, legacy, like these are all themes that hit me in the face, and I'm still thinking about. And because these themes are so grand, and I think there's a lot of it baked into this film,
Right.
I can't give you a real review of this film. I could give you my initial thoughts,
Yeah.
but I think this is a film that you have to see 2 or 3 times to really, really understand what's fully being said here.
Right. I fully agree in that regard because a lot of these epics, they deal with so much.
Yeah.
And at its core, you can see what it's doing at its core, but little details, it's like, oh my God, I didn't notice that on my first watch.
Yeah,
I didn't notice
exactly. And
on my third
there's
watch.
so much here. Obviously, the immigrant story is one whole thing, and the family dynamics is one whole thing. And I think there's some beautiful themes in that. And I love the immigrant story. I think it hits close to home with me because my grandparents literally immigrated here for a better life.
Right.
And I've always been very close to my grandparents, and they've told me about the struggles that they've been through, and shit wasn't easy.
Right.
So when I see that, I see them in these characters, and
Yeah.
and that's why I think it moved me so much, especially in that first half. I was almost like literally in tears.
Yeah.
I want to see this movie again. I wish I could have saw it twice before
Yeah.
we talked about it. Unfortunately, it's just such a mission to watch
Yeah.
in Toronto, and it's such a shame. And as soon as this does go on streaming or Blu-ray, I'm gonna see it again. But
Same.
the theme, what I'm trying to say here, is it's not just a beautifully shot film.
Exactly.
this film has writing in it that I think is some of the strongest writing we've seen this year and in years. It doesn't stick the landing, not necessarily, but when this film, like I said, when this film is firing and it's at its peak, it's some of the best filmmaking I've ever seen.
It does take risks, though.
Yeah.
I got to give it credit where credit's due. It does take a lot of risks with its editing, with its dialogue and whatnot. I mean, like, because there are decisions in the movie where I'm just like, does that work? But then there's others where it's just like, I've never seen that done that way. And to me, it fucking worked. It got me emotional. I got goosebumps.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it. And I think I will be thinking about it for a longer time.
Yeah. Another thing you said about the architecture.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful addition to the film. And the architecture just like echoes the themes of the film.
Yeah.
2024 is the peak of architecture movies.
I mean,
Megalopolis?
Megalopolis. I was gonna bring that up.
Megalopolis, and now this film.
From an outsider perspective, it's the yin and yang of quality.
This is the peak of architect films. I think we're ever gonna get.
It is admirable though, because Brady Corbett is obviously younger than Coppola, but there is a lot of relatability that they must have with this profession.
Yeah.
Obviously, perspective is different, but it's still kind of beautiful.
I wonder what Coppola thinks about this film. I'm desperate to hear his take on it. I'm sure he's gonna love
Probably
it.
beautiful, yeah.
I mean, people have compared this film to The Godfather. People have compared this film to There Will Be Blood.
Yeah.
I saw a Letterboxd review that said The Godfather There Will Be Blood remix.
Kind of. In terms of shooting, though, here's what I'll say. I've never heard this comparison, but the editing and shooting reminded me a lot of French Connection.
Okay, yeah.
Because of its documentary type of shooting. And I feel like I've never really seen that in an epic before, because epics usually go for tripod still, like, no, we're going to show you, boom.
Big, wide as we can. Yeah.
Wide as you can, but there's little intimate moments in some of these scenes that remind me of French Connection, where it's just like, no, we're not doing shot reverse shot. We're just going to have the camera follow these guys.
Yeah.
Follow them into a room.
There was some cool long takes here as well.
They're not cutting just abruptly and being like, oh, I'm here now. It's like, no, let him open the door. Let's just see what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's, like, we see that struggle. We see his drug addiction. We don't shy away from that shit either. They hold on these shots because you need to see that.
Man.
Little details like that are what make it memorable. Another memorable performance, in my opinion, aside from Adrian Brody and Felicity Jones, we got to talk about Guy Pearce as Harrison Lee Van Buren.
Guy Pearce is so fucking back. Like, this man gives his best performance since Memento.
Isn't it sad, though, that, like, I haven't seen too many films that he's been in recently?
No, I haven't heard his name in a while, even.
Right?
Like, it is sad because of the high that he had, right? But, man, can the guy still fucking act? And did he play this angry character? And, a character we've seen before. But
could have been cartoonish.
Yeah, 100%. Could have been cartoonish, talks funny.
Yeah.
We know his archetype already. But he gives him, I don't know, he just gives him this life.
Very much reminded me of, like, the salespeople back in the day, like a Walt Disney type of, like, I'm going to make a dream. This is my dream. This is how I do it, but I stand by it. Him and his son were the scariest characters in the film. Probably his son was scarier, actually.
His son was an absolute...
God damn, I had chills when I saw him. The first scene, when
Yeah.
he's, like, shaking his hand, I was like, oh, this guy's up to no good.
Yeah.
I had a feeling, man.
Oh, yeah. There's already a feeling of, like, what's going on here.
Great performance.
And it's never figured out, really. Like,
That's
the
the
dynamic
scary
between
thing.
the father and the son, there's more to it. Like, that's why I want to see it again. Like, the last scene we get before the epilogue.
Yeah,
Like, we're going to
man.
go into spoiler territory now.
Yeah, let's go into spoilers.
The
'cause-
last scene we get before the epilogue is a scene where Elizabeth, his wife, confronts Guy Pearce's character
Yeah.
about the rape.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a weird scene, and I'm still not really sure what they were trying to do or say with it. But they start, the other people, they grab her, they drag her out,
Yeah.
and then when the dust settles from that,
Mm-hmm.
Harrison Lee Van Buren, Mr. Van Buren,
Mr. Van Buren, yeah.
is gone,
Just disappears.
and we never see him again. And the son acts especially panicked
Yeah.
in a way that's not a natural reaction.
Mm-hmm.
because they're just like, oh, he went to bed, and then the son is immediately like hyperventilating, running around as if he knows his dad's not in bed,
Yeah.
and he knows that this is something more serious. Like,
It gets even more disturbing because my interpretation of that whole sequence is, you know, the father and the son and their evilness being shown
mm-hmm.
in full light. His panicking shows how guilty he
So like
is.
they're both in on it.
Because you know the niece.
Yeah,
That scene. That's what I mean. It's like,
exactly.
and it's like it's what you don't see that makes it even more disturbing in the long run because the father and the son show this evilness and within him. When he doesn't have his father by his side, he is so scared.
Yeah.
And it's like it just goes to the church, man. It goes to the church, it tilts up at the cross and stuff. And to me, if the film ended like that, I probably would have felt like choked up, like I like just
Mm-hmm.
cuts to black.
Yeah.
Silence. Like that's my interpretation of the film, or at least that particular scene. It's the type of evilness that you don't really get a lot in movies because a lot of people are. It's a hard subject matter to handle,
Yeah.
you know. And I'm glad that this film did it in a way that has never been done this way.
Mm-hmm.
And the performances from both of them are fucking amazing. I understand it's a very jarring scene.
Yeah, it
When
is.
it starts off and when it ends, you're just like, what the.
Like that's the end, and we're not going to see Laszlo again. And like the last scene we saw him was not necessarily like a.
It's a very
The last
isolated.
scene you see him, I think, is with his wife in the hospital. And
yeah.
they're talking about moving to Jerusalem, right?
To me, it's very abrupt, but I feel like the scene itself is necessary to be like, we have to go now. Like
Yeah.
this isn't a dream. It's a fucking nightmare.
Uh-huh.
We're going through so much shit together. We're taking like heroin. It's like, what are we really doing? Is this love? Is this family? Is this the true dream? It's like, let's just go back to see our niece and stuff.
Yeah, like this wasn't the promised land we thought. Like maybe Jerusalem really is.
Yeah. Could have been more established in that regard, but I like the context of that scene.
Yeah, look, I'm fine with that part.
Yeah.
Let's get into the epilogue.
Oh jeez.
Both of us, I think, have a problem with this.
I think it might be one of my least favorite epilogues.
It's bizarre to
Yeah.
say the least.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were really trying to say or do with it. It's one of the big reasons why I want to see it again, just to see if there's like a connection I'm missing genuinely, because there could be.
Yeah.
There could be some kind of commentary that I missed there. That scene felt so out of place,
Yep.
rushed,
Mhm.
weird in comparison to everything that felt so calculated and flawless
Yeah.
in the beginning, in the first half.
Yeah. So the scene is essentially an epilogue. It's 1980.
Yeah.
We're going from like what 1959 to 1980. So
Yeah, essentially.
pretty big gap in terms of time jump. And it's at the museum where they show all of Laszlo's work. They talk about it. And I believe it's the niece who is
Yeah,
talking about
it is.
Laszlo. And it just feels like exposition. It just feels like somebody looking at you and being like, hey, this is what the movie's about.
Yeah.
And compare that to the scene where it's like the son looking for the father and showing the evilness, and it's not explaining it directly to you. It cuts to the cross and stuff like that. All visual storytelling. All visual. Hell, even the scene with his wife and him at the hospital. Still very visual because it's like very like claustrophobic, and they're like, we can't breathe anymore. We're stuck in this fucking
Yeah.
world. I love blocking like that. This was just like, okay, we're doing a 1980s PowerPoint and explaining what the movie was about. That's what it felt like for me. And it was, to me, it was done in a very lazy way. And it cuts to Laszlo, you know, and a great comparison I would say is, how did The Irishman end?
Mm-hmm.
With De Niro's
with
character.
De Niro sitting there and
They didn't say, oh yeah, you know, Frank, he was
Yeah.
he was a good man at heart, but he just did this. No. It cuts to him alone
yeah,
for what he did.
exactly.
Why didn't
Living
they?
with the consequences.
I would
dealing
have
with it.
I would have loved it much more if they did something similar to Laszlo if they were going to show the epilogue, which I feel like this epilogue gave off laziness in its writing.
It did. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I hated that it left me with a weird feeling
Yeah.
leaving the theater because of how moved I was by the rest of the film.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not enough for me to say, like, don't watch this film.
No.
I actually think that this might be my favorite film of the year, next to Nosferatu.
Fucking A, man.
Like, I was incredibly moved by it.
Mm-hmm.
But the epilogue was really, really fucking weird to me, man.
Yeah.
Really weird to me. Because we're a little low on time, quickly I want to get through a few more points because there's a lot to talk about in this
Yes,
movie.
absolutely.
There's no better acting performance this year than Adrien Brody in this film. There's none. There's zero. That's my hot take. I don't know if that's a hot take or not. And
If he doesn't get nominated, I'll be like genuinely upset.
I would be, yeah. Like I
He
don't
needs
put
a nomination at fucking
yeah,
least.
I don't put too much stock into the Oscars these
Oh,
days, and
Same. We always
and
get
I
it
feel
wrong.
like we always get it wrong every year. I feel personally like it means less, but
Yeah.
Adrien Brody is so good in this movie and plays this incredibly layered character that you can love and hate at the same time always.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. I love the supporting characters in this movie.
They're amazing.
I love his cousin.
Yeah.
He's from the Sopranos prequel film.
Yeah, he was also in Kraven the Hunter. He played the Rhino.
There you go.
So that's another actor who was in a shitty Marvel film
Yeah.
giving an amazing performance in a real movie.
Yeah, I loved his wife. That was an interesting character.
She was great too, yeah.
I loved his friend that he meets in like the homeless shelter. the
Oh, he's
black guy.
amazing. With his son?
What a character there.
Wow.
That's like such a side character that you don't have to give this backstory and make you feel for him like they do.
And the tragedy of how their friendship ends, man.
it's so unceremonious, right?
Fuck, yeah. Oh, man.
I love that. I love that they, these aren't one-dimensional side characters. They're all fighting their own demons, and
Yeah.
they're all working their own angles.
It's so well done, so beautiful. I fully agree. I feel like every actor at least should get nominated for an Oscar for their performance. I think the performances to me are the most powerful thing. The second most powerful thing is the visuals,
Yeah.
which I know that might be a hot take. But visually speaking, this should get nominated for best cinematography. It's
No doubt.
beautiful. I mean, Adrien Brody, every time he smokes, man, every time he lights a cigarette, it's so fucking good.
Oh my god, the one with the sparks?
Oh, man.
I could watch that shot on a loop. Like, you know what shot I'm talking
Yeah.
about, right?
Oh,
He's
yeah. The
looking
one in
at
the poster.
camera.
They
Yeah.
made it a poster, too.
Exactly.
Fuck yeah.
He's watching the sparks and he's hitting that cigarette. I'm like, this is the best actor winner at the Oscars.
Fucking A.
For me personally. I don't think there's a better performance out there. The Brutalist, guys. I'm gonna give this film 4 out of 5 stars, an 8 out of 10. I genuinely think that if I see it again, it's gonna go up. It really, like, I'm giving you my
Yes.
initial thoughts. This, like, I can't confidently say this is my review of this film. It's one of those. I've been looking for one of those.
Yeah.
And here it is.
I fully agree. This is a 3.5 hour long film. Of course, we're not going to explain every single thing that we loved about it.
No, I couldn't get to it
But
all.
at the end of the day, you got to see it for yourself. All right. We can't do it justice. We're only expressing what we thought right off the bat. I'm going to give this film 3.5 out of 5, 7 out of 10. I think because of that rating, it's the epilogue, man. You know me and endings.
I know the ending means a
All
lot to
right.
you, and I understood it. I understood your review when I saw it, but I was just so moved by the rest of it.
Yeah.
I can't recommend this film enough. It's a beautiful film, man. I really hope it gets the recognition it deserves at the
Absolutely.
Oscars this year. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe to your boys. It means the world to us. Let us know what you thought of The Brutalist in the comments below. Hopefully you were able to see it somewhere.
Yes.
And if you are, please go
Please.
see it. And most importantly, take care, brush your hair.
Peace.